Right. This video is for anybody who learns anything online, whether that's about programming, business, entrepreneurial ventures, things like that, like how to build a company, things like that, because that's something I speak on a lot, or how to get a better job, anything. For context, I've been running a development company over the past 2.5, almost 3 years. Before that, I tried to build a bunch of businesses. I learned programming online, self-taught. I self-taught myself a lot of things, and I made a lot of mistakes doing that as well. In this company, now it's great, and like it has got me many things, but I still have so much more to learn. Like there's so much that I don't know, and I really have a long way to go. Like it's still, in the grand scheme of things, a very small company, and in the first year I almost bankrupted the company twice. And so I learned a lesson or two about trying to learn things myself and trying to learn things online. And the biggest one, I think, is, and like this video is basically about just making sure that you always keep in mind whenever you consume content, basically how you perceive that content, and like just don't take, I mean, it's ironic because this is an opinion, right? But it's basically like, don't take anybody's word as gospel. I say this specifically because recently I put out a couple videos that, pissed some people off. Like I said, basically that it's hard for people to make 100K a year as a developer. And a bunch of people got all pissy about it because they're like, oh, it's actually a base salary in the US. I was like, well, sure, but the world doesn't revolve around the US. And basically that video is about how to get to that 100,000 a year mark. And I made another one about basically how indie hacking isn't a great way to make money. And also, I think that one pissed a fair number of people off. And the main thing is like, my point in those videos is crucially, most importantly, to focus on a point of view that I think not enough people consider, because oftentimes like people just, people have this perception that like just because you're a developer you're going to earn loads of money. It's like, well, no, that's not the default. Like you don't just learn development and then magically like get 100K salary like into your lap. Like that's not how it works. And indie hacking, like it's like there are some people who make a lot of money with it, but a lot of them don't. Most of them don't. It's a lot about distribution, things like that. And in the comments, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, but you don't get this part. And it's like, well, the thing is, I actually do understand those parts, but it's, I think, an underrated opinion a lot of the time. Like I made a video ages ago about basically how SaaS is a pretty overrated business model because developers seem to love it. Everybody wants to build their own SaaS. The thing they don't get, it's like, it's a lot harder than it seems. And I'm not going to delve into that because that's not the point of this video. And you can go watch that. It's named, I think, if you want to start a software business, watch this, something like that, and you can search it up. But the point is, so many people, like there's an overwhelming majority on how a topic is like seen, right? And I provide an opinion that's maybe contrary to that, and I think that's fundamentally useful for people. Like that's part of the reason why I do it. It's not that I don't understand the caveats. I'm very well aware of the exceptions, and I'm well aware that you can be an idiot as a programmer and still get $100,000 in America. It's possible, and it like there's basically two parts. It's connections and so connections and opportunities. So like where are you from, postcode, that kind of thing, and how good you are, right? And the main thing is like if you are learning anything online, man, you have to be cognizant of the fact that like take things and apply your own lens on them. Like question things if you agree with something or not, and that applies for the stuff that I say as well. For anybody on the internet, I think it's like super useful. I really like Sam Altman because he actually, I think is like one of his favorite pieces of advice is don't take advice from anybody. And I think it's very useful to consider like how credible is somebody in a particular domain. So for example, I can speak on software development agencies because I have one and I've been running one, and I help some people build their own, but I can't speak on a photography company because I don't have one and I don't know fuck all about photography. I know about business in general, right? Just as a result of running my own development business. But if I tried to teach somebody about photography, man, I'm talking out of my ass, right? And like, sure, maybe I know a thing or two, but statistically it's the same as talking to any Joe Schmo on the street about photography. Like they haven't done it themselves, they haven't helped other people do it, they haven't watched anybody else do it successfully. So at the bottom of that like pyramid of priorities, just anybody else. And so it's like when you learn stuff, firstly consider just where are they coming from, do they have some credibility to do with this topic, and then just like keep it in mind as an opinion, but it doesn't have to be word of gospel. Like, don't, I think people take stuff too seriously as a general thing. Like, question everything and build and weave across different learnings from different things. I think my biggest mistake was probably like sometimes taking things too seriously, like when I was learning stuff online. And if it wasn't that, it was just like not taking actions on the simple things. Most of the time, you might find that you actually know more of the steps that you need to take than you think. It's not that complicated. Like a lot of people will, for example, they want to go to the gym, and they're going to consume loads of content about how to go to the gym, how to do this and that and the other. And at some point, so at the start it's really good, but then at some point there's diminishing returns to that. At some point you have to go and apply that information, apply that knowledge. And I think that is so crucial in learning anything online. You have to apply it. You cannot, your brain, to actually learn something, you have to use it. And you know, in the case of building a company or doing a sport, that's going to do the sport or going to try and build a company. But in the case of development, it might be like go and build the app, right? Go and build something, actually do something. Stop studying content, build something. In the case of learning a language, it's going to be like actually remember and try and speak with somebody. In the case of learning philosophy, maybe it's doing like, I mean, you can't really like necessarily use it, but go and engage in debates, whatever, you know, that you can find. And if you can't find that, man, you know, start with flashcards, whatever, but you have to like pull that recall and actually force yourself to use it. And a lot of people, I think, just consume endlessly, don't actually apply. If you want to learn online, like online you can learn anything. The struggle is you have no structure, so you have to kind of find that for yourself. Even this video is quite badly structured, I'd say, but it's, yeah, just like caveat things yourself. Don't rely on creators to caveat them. Like, you should be able to tell, like you should be able to use your own common sense to determine whether something is like generic or like more specific to this or that. Like, you know, try and come up with those caveats, I think. And just don't take word as gospel. Like, don't take people too seriously, and apply what you learn. Like, go and do something if you actually want to learn about it. Yeah, it's one of the best ways to learn is like online. You can find absolutely anything. But this video is exactly about trying to learn better and not getting too caught up in the details. Just like take the big picture lesson, apply it. Take the big picture lesson, apply it. Take it and use it. Apply it to a real life thing. If you enjoyed, do subscribe if you're still watching. It seems like 85% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so I'm sure that ratio could improve. And do comment if there's anything else that you'd like me to speak on. I record every day, so it's a great way to try and get me to record a video. I often scroll through comments and look for video ideas there, so do feel free. I do try and pay as much attention to those as I can.